Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to see so many people coming on the line. Please feel free to say hi as always. Tell us where you're dialing in from. We're really looking forward to this coaching cafe. So, the cafe will start in just 1 minute as we let everybody come into the room. Feel free to say hi. Tell us where you're dialing in from. We always do the weather report. So, I'm back in Melbourne and it's overcast and cold. So, yeah. Hi, Amanda. Welcome from Brisbane. I need to round up all our Brisbane clients so I can go and spend some time in the sun. It's wonderful to see everybody. Byron, welcome from Byron. Hi, Wendy. Great to see you from Virginia. Thanks for dialing in. Yeah, we're a bit cold here in Melbourne. Not quite as cold as it was in Canberra, I must say. But at least Canberra had sunny. Alrighty, well, please feel free to say hi. Tell us where you're dialing in from today. Give us the weather report as we do around the globe. And I think we better, yeah, cold. It's cold here. Put the heater on. We just have to wait for the Byron and the Perth and the Los Angeles people to tell us that it's warm. So 10 p.m. in Trinidad. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, Bangalore is online. That's great. Welcome from India as well. Alrighty, well, I think we better get going because we've got a lot to discuss today. It's very exciting. So everybody that knows me knows that I talk too fast when I get excited. So I'll try to slow down a little bit as well. Welcome everyone. Yep. Oh, 7:32. Yeah, excellent. AM. Alrighty, let's start, shall we? Find my recording. Oh, maybe we are already recording. Have we got the button going? I can't see it there. Uh, Is my recording? Oh, someone's saying yes, we are recording. Oh, did it start straight away? I got the thumbs ups going. Where's the button that's supposed to be flashing? That's what I'm asking for. Oh dear. It says pause or stop recording. I'm going to assume it's working. I can't see. All right. Well, it's a very good welcome to you all, wherever you are listening to this coaching cafe. My name is Dr. Natalie Ashdown, and it's an absolute pleasure to bring you this coaching cafe, our new coaching cafe series on CEOs who coach. And today I have a very special interview with our CEO, Martin Mercer. Martin, welcome to the line.
Natalie, pleasure to be here. And like you, when I get excited, I talk way too quickly. So I will.
So
I'll
we'll
try and
try to
slow
slow
down.
down in our excitement. We will. Fantastic. Well, before I begin, let me acknowledge the traditional owners, the custodians on the lands on which we're all meeting today, their continuing connection to the land and the waters and the communities of Australia and the lands from all around the world where you're joining us from today. You just gave us the weather report from all around the world, which is wonderful. And we pay our respects to them, their elders past, present, and emerging, and elders from Indigenous communities from all around the world. So today as I said, we're kicking off a new series, which is CEOs Who Coach, and we're talking about how coaching forms part of executive leadership, in particular our CEOs. How does coaching form part of their leadership approach? And we'll be thinking about why does coaching matter to these CEOs and their organizations? And we'll be talking about the observations that they have in terms of performance over the years as they've been coaching. For those of you that are new, welcome. We are all about sharing learned experiences and having thought-provoking conversations. Whether you're dialing in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, we say welcome to you. Whether you're listening to this live or on your favorite streaming service, we say welcome. Thanks for being part of our community, and you can interact with us via the chat box. So we'll pick up your questions that you have for Martin as we go along in the chat box. And if you're here because you are after your ICF continuing coach education units, just wait until the end of the session. I'll have that available for you if you are listening to this live. So that's the preamble. And now let's get into the best part of it, the conversation, which is talking to Martin. So let me just stop this screen. I will stop my share. Uh, there we go. That's better. Fantastic. Martin, it's wonderful to welcome you. As CEO of the Scentia brands, that includes the IECL, it includes Open Door Coaching, it includes our major brand, which is the AIM and the College of Wellbeing and the AIM Business School. So there's many brands under the Scentia brand now, and I know that you've been passionate about coaching for a long, long time. Can you tell us what kind of got you interested in coaching? And I know that you've done coach training, so perhaps you can give us a little bit of an overview from that perspective.
I think, Natalie, I did a Cert 4 with Open Door, as you know, during COVID. Like many people, I had time on my hands, and I did a Cert 4 during COVID, and I loved the experience so much, we bought the company.
Yes, that's right.
And then we didn't have our fields, so we bought another one. We bought IECL as well. But on a more serious note, I have done both the Cert 4 with Open Door, which was a fantastic experience way back in 2019, 2020, I think. And
Yes.
more recently done the refresher with IECL, done the level one, and coaching's something that I've probably only recently added to my leadership kit bag, and it's really made a difference to the way I think about what my role is and the way I think about the role of leaders is generally.
And so I'm interested in what you were talking about there, Martin. So how does coaching form part of your leadership style? What have you noticed, or how have you brought it into your style?
Look, when I reflect on my experience early in my career, and for much of my career, when I was, uh, doing my regular one-on-one with my leaders, it was all about task,
Yeah.
and it was a compliance exercise as much as anything else. And depending on what your manager was like, it was an opportunity to manage them out of your life and tell them the story you wanted to tell them and keep them out of your life, and so you could get on and do what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
But it was very much it was very much task orientated, and that's what I thought you did in one-on-ones. You held people to account. You got them to come in and tell them what they were working on, and you put them through their paces, and then you sent them out again. And really, it was over time. I thought this is just an unsatisfactory use of time. Um, what coaching has done is maybe rethink about what the role of the one-on-one is, for example.
Mm.
And so my one-on-ones now don't really have a fixed agenda. Um, there's always a coaching element. They're not 1 hour coaching sessions. They're not formal coaching sessions, but there's always a coaching component. And it's my opportunity to spend time with my team talking about development as much as anything else. And instead of giving them the answers to the problems they're confronting, helping them find the solution themselves, which ultimately leads to better growth, their development, their competence, and their confidence as much as anything else. When your team answers when your team develops the solution to their own problems rather than being told what the answer is, it sticks.
Yeah. Yeah,
And with
absolutely.
that comes confidence too. And so sometimes the temptation is just to tell people what to do and how to do it. It can feel quicker and easier. But if you're prepared to invest just a little bit more time with a coaching mindset, you find that the payback is much, much higher than just telling people how to do their job.
Yeah, well, obviously, I absolutely agree, but I'm interested in the transition you made there from the task into the more coaching approach. And was it just a transition over time, Martin, or how did you kind of make that transition?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what happened. In 2014, I became the CEO of a business called Melbourne IT. And I had an excellent chief people officer. And we took that business from 200 people to 900 people in the space of 3 years. It was a combination of acquisition and organic growth. And we knew that, rapidly growing businesses, especially small businesses that grow rapidly, outgrow their leaders. Sometimes the leaders can grow at the pace the business is growing, oftentimes they can't. And so we decided we were going to make a big investment in leadership development. And because the performance of the business was going to be contingent on the quality of the leadership that existed at all levels in the business. And so we went through, we all did the TLC, for example, and that was very revealing. And one of the things that came out for me was that the feedback I got was that I needed to learn how to be a better coach. I had no idea what coaching was, to be honest, back in 2014. And so I sort of committed. I'm the sort of person who likes to be good at things. I didn't like the idea that I had to learn to do something that I wasn't confident I could be good at. But I made the commitment to my CPO that I was going to learn what it was to be a coach.
Yeah.
And I actually had no idea what it meant at the time.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, that's 12 years ago now. So it's just something I've been working on and working at for 12 years. And of course, there's been a bit of formal training on the way through, but it's not something that I wouldn't even say I'm good at it now, but it's not something you get good at overnight.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you're sort of in my position, you often find yourself wanting to tell people what to do.
Yep.
And so, you really have to be reminding yourself constantly that while it might feel like the best thing they want right now is to be told what to do, quite often, a concentrated coaching conversation often gets a better outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know a CEO who might feature on the series as well, who actually had a post-it note up on his door, so he'd kind of look and the post-it note said, "Remember to ask questions." So it was basically like a post-it note to remind him not just to direct and tell people what to do, but to ask questions.
Yeah,
And I love the fact that you were talking about that you're still learning, which is what I'm doing too. I've been coaching for 22 years now. I had no idea back then in the time as well, but the continuing to master and continue to learn, grow. I write down everyone's great questions. It's a great opportunity. So tell me, how does coaching now fit into Scentia? Why does it matter to Scentia and the broader brands?
I think I mean, Scentia is a microcosm of what's happening everywhere.
Mm,
I think coaching matters. Coaching matters as much in Scentia as it does in any other business right now.
yeah.
Yeah, we're all confronted with a lot of change, and it sounds a bit trite, a bit cliched, but the pace of change is accelerating all the time.
Mm,
This idea that you can talk about change management is a bit of an artifact. The days of John Cotter and change management and change was big and happened once every 5 or 10 years, and you could plan it and put process around it. And that's all gone. We just feel like we've got wave after wave after wave of change and change layered on top of change. And so, like Scentia, like any other business right now, is being buffeted by change.
mm,
And the people inside our business are feeling that. We're making changes all the time. And the coaching through change is a really important thing to be able to do, because I think what people find, what people feel like change happens to them,
mm,
and they don't feel like they have any sense of agency or control. And leaders, can tell people why or what's happening, and leaders can tell you why it's happening. But in a coaching conversation, you can help people get agency
mm,
and help people actually manage through change and find their own way through change and stop having that sense of a loss of control or a loss of agency. So they can have the what's happening and the why is happening, and then they can have and I can control this. I can understand how I can manage my feelings about change and how I can find my sense of agency and purpose amongst the change. And so we're spending a lot of time at the moment coaching, investing in our development of our leaders in Scentia. We're putting all of our leaders through a leadership development program, and coaching is the bedrock of that program. And they're all getting a bit of a sheep dip in basic coaching skills. And I'm starting to see them use those skills in the workplace and helping lead their people through change and have conversations about change that are positive, constructive conversations that help people feel their way through change.
Yeah, and I'm interested in what you say there about agency. And when we talked about in the beginning that you and I both have to slow down because we're excited. But with the coaching conversations around agency, have you seen people slow down, actually take more time to actually understand people's experiences of change and um, how they can take agency around change as opposed to having it done for them? Is there a slowing down, perhaps, in the speed that we've got going on?
It's a good question, Natalie. We probably don't see enough slowing down.
Mm,
I mean, a coaching conversation can be really quick or it can be quite long,
yeah.
but it does require a very different mindset. Like it does require a bit of peace and calm, and when we're running at 100 miles an hour, it's often quite hard to find that place where you can be completely present um,
Mm,
in the moment. Um, I observe a bit of that happening. What I observe more of is I hear people asking lots of coaching questions.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
I can hear people having a very different conversation than they were having 2 months ago or 3 months ago before we started investing in this leadership development. Now, I hear the most surprising people on the phone, for example, talking to a teammate, asking questions that they would not have asked in the past. People
Yes.
who are quite directive who are now suddenly asking questions. I'm not sometimes not even sure they're aware of the change, but they're obviously getting a result because they're doing it now, and it's changing the nature of the relationship they're having with their people, but changing the outcome they're getting as well. And so I hear more and more of those sort of in the moment, unconscious coaching conversations happening.
Yeah, that's really great. I've been hearing it too, and it really is music to my ears when we're sitting on just sitting in the open plan, and I hear same. I heard a team member recently say, "Oh, so what are the options? What are we going to do to solve this?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's great." So
Exactly. I mean, we should be able to do this right because
yeah,
with the combination of Open Door and IECL, we are a coaching organisation. We are the leading coach education and coaching business in the country, and we have to learn to eat our own dog food. And all of our people should be advocates of coaching. Everybody in our business should go through coach training. Everybody should be, ambassadors for the power of coaching.
yeah, absolutely. Well, there's no argument from me from that perspective. What else have you observed, Martin, across across the 12 years that you've been doing? What other observations have you made that, from a CEO's perspective, that would encourage others to say this is something worth investing in?
Uh, to be honest, for me, it comes, the single biggest change for me is the quality of the relationship I have with my team
Yeah.
and with some of their direct reports as a consequence of having moved from a sort of at best a mentoring approach, but really just a telling approach to having to be in relationship, to coach and to with your own team to be able to coach effectively. You have to actually care about the people who you're working with. And that wasn't part of the way I thought about work. I thought about work, you had your work life and your private life, and the two didn't mix. And what was implicit in that was that your private life was where you had relationships,
Mm,
caring relationships and friendships and that, and work was business.
mm,
And what coaching has taught me is that, I mean, the nature of coaching is you have to be present. You have to actually be completely absorbed with the person you are coaching rather than what's happening for you. And you have to, at some level, care about them and their development and care about them as people. And that's changed fundamentally how I think about my role as a CEO and the role that I perform in terms of building culture and you know psychological safety. It comes down to being able to slow down, listen, ask questions, and it's changed the way I think about my relationship with my team and my relationship with people in the business, and the way I think about the nature of the relationships this artificiality between the personal and the private, and getting much more intimate and concerned and caring. And it was quite liberating. It took a while because I had this very definite view that business was business, and you were friendly, you were always warm, always polite, always collegial, but um, there was always a remove. And I've managed to dismantle that, I think, over the last decade.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing so openly as well. And we do find that often, we come for I joke on the coaching programs that, you pay for the coaching program, but the marriage counseling comes for free, or you pay for the coaching program, but the personal development comes for free. So it's not saying, oh, we're only doing this for, for work. It's the professional development we get as humans, I think, and as leaders within all the different facets of our lives as well, and our own personal growth as a human being, not just as a leader or a CEO.
I think it also realizes that you don't have to have all the answers,
Yeah.
which is also quite liberating. you
Yeah.
know, you haven't got to have the answer to every single problem or every single. Um, you know, More often than not, the person sitting in front of you has the answer, and all you do is help them get there. And
Yes.
oftentimes you learn something in the process that you didn't know before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Martin, I know that you and I have talked about vision often, and I know you have great visions not only for what we can do as an organization, but also the impact we can make on our communities, on Australia and globally. And I wonder if I might throw a question at you, a quote and then a question. It's a bit long-winded, but not particularly good coaching, but a bit long-winded. But so John Whitmore, who's known as the founder of coaching, said there has never been a better time for coaching in our world. Now he said that to me 10 years ago when we were facing terrorism and change and disruption. And now, 10 years on, I'm thinking and I'm listening to Sir John Whitmore, the interviews I did with him. And he said there's never been a better time for coaching. And I'm wondering, what do you think about that in terms of the visions that you have and the impact we can make?
Um, Look, I think what John Whitmore said 10 years ago, what was happening 10 years ago, is just as apt now, right?
Yeah.
We're in the middle of the, what do they call it, the poly crisis. The crisis is layered on crises, layered on crises. I think this is why, when you the whole rhetoric around, or the whole discourse around leadership, coaching has risen to the top of that discourse around leadership now. A
Mm,
decade ago, you weren't hearing everyone saying that coaching was a core leadership skill.
yeah.
And now you're hearing everyone saying coaching is a core leadership skill, and all of our leaders need to be adept at coaching. And why? You ask what's changed, and I think it is this sense that the world's a really difficult place for a lot of people, and the workplace is becoming harder and harder, and you know work life is more tenuous. Life generally is more tenuous. The role of leaders is being redefined as helping people navigate change and helping people navigate this sense of anxiety and uncertainty, and uh, and the answer seems to be that coaching mindset.
Yeah.
And more people are recognizing that great leadership requires great humility, because I think humility is the foundation of being able to be a good coach.
Mm,
And so when I think about what we're trying to achieve in Scentia, the beautiful thing about education, and this is my first time in education, is that it's so purpose driven. And we can see our mission now is to help people realize their potential and build a better society. And that really is, we are in the leadership development business, and we are firmly in the coaching business, because we see coaching as being fundamental to effective leadership. And so, we're all in on coaching, Natalie.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm all in for what we're all in on coaching as well. So that's wonderful. I'm conscious of the time now. I can't believe how quickly our time goes. Would there be any other thoughts, observations, glorious pieces of wisdom you want to share with us in the last couple of minutes, Martin?
No, I feel like I'm repeating myself now, Natalie. Yeah, but no, only to say that, you know, coming together with Open Door and IECL has made a huge impact on our business, and it's making a huge impact on the people in our business. And it's been it's it's worked out better than we could have hoped. And I think that we're now entering a phase in our business, and I think more broadly where coaching is going to really be at the forefront of our the way we think about leadership development and the work we're doing with leaders and managers.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much. On behalf of everyone, we've had just a very short conversation, but it's lovely to get the insights. So thank you for sharing your own development and your growth and the humility and the empathy that you've developed and that. Thank you for sharing how you see coaching is going to influence the world and the change and the disruption and creating agency as well. And thanks for that insight into, what it means to your leadership style as well. I think we all really appreciate getting the insights. So lots of claps and everything coming as well. So on behalf of everyone, thank you, Martin. And I will pause the recording now, and then we'll show everybody the CCE, which you can collect. Where this is the first of our four series we're having with our CEO, so feel free to tune in next week as we continue our CEO journey and finding those leadership insights from our CEOs. Thanks once again, Martin, and thanks everyone for attending. And as we say, always enjoy your coaching.
Thanks, Natalie.